So what I want to talk about is technology in sports and how technology is impacting the world of sports. And we could talk about a whole host of different things. Technology is growing rapidly in the sports world. They now have trackers that sit on a player's shoulder pads to track biometric data, acceleration. In basketball, we have optical cameras that sit on players gathering 30 data points per second that can really impact the game from a competitive analysis. Teams and coaches have put playbooks on tablets. They're viewing their own highlights. They're breaking them down into slow motion. On the stadium and venue side, we're seeing software that allows people to order food, merchandise, ticketing without ever leaving their seat. And again, in the sports world, this is a big deal. Relative to life and the other things we're talking about, not as big of a deal. And because this is a TED Talk, and because I want to give something that is hopefully more impactful than the latest happenings in the sports technology world, I want to try and talk about something that's bigger and more important than that. So this is the first of my non sequiturs. How many of you people, by raise of hand, have seen this symbol before? Okay, so some of you know what it is. For those of you that don't, this might be more recognizable. It's called the caduceus, and really it's often mistakenly used in the medical world, but this is a symbol that goes back to 5th century BC. And I'm sure you're all wondering, what on earth does this have to do with technology or sports? But I promise I will try and get there. So this symbol has a staff up the middle and 2 wings on the side with 2 intertwining serpents. And I don't pretend to be a symbologist or understand all the significance behind it, but the one interpretation that I think is powerful and important and applicable to us today is there are 2 sides to every equation. In any industry or any opportunity, you have the good or the right or the wrong and the evil. And these 2 serpents that wrap around the stick form the caduceus. So what in our day are some modern day caduceuses? Well, for me, technology is the biggest. When I was young, my parents used to take us to Disney World, and I remember going on this incredible attraction that was apparently Walt Disney's favorite attraction that he ever made, called the Carousel of Progress. Some of you are nodding your heads like you've seen this before. And what it does is it follows an American family from the early 20th century all the way to modern day. And they see the advances of technology, a gas lamp, sewing machine, dishwasher, to high-definition TV and virtual reality. And in fact, in this picture, if you can see it, I know there's a little bit of a glare, you see a grandma playing her grandson in a virtual reality video game. And in the background, the father is cooking a turkey on a voice-activated oven. So I remember going to this show and thinking, wow, technology is incredible. It's changed the way we live. It's made things easier, prosperity. We've seen real progress as a result of technology. And think about where we are today. We're live streaming across the world on a technology platform. I'm speaking to you through this wireless mic. Technology has changed the way we live and operate. I was able to book my hotel from Wi-Fi on a plane, a tubular piece of steel that's flying across the country, and I'm booking a hotel in La Jolla where I've never been before. In fact, without technology, I wouldn't be alive today. I'm a type 1 diabetic. And thanks to the advances in synthetic insulin and insulin pumps, I can live. I'd be dead 100 years ago. So technology is really powerful and important. Technology also has the other side to the equation, the other serpent, if you will. So the graphic on the upper left shows the average person looks at their phone 150 times a day. 150 times a day. And you know what you're probably thinking? Yeah, I might do that more than 150 times a day. I remember when I saw that stat. Now, there's a quote that you can't read, but do you know that if you're texting and driving and you look down to text, the average person looks away for 5 seconds. If you're moving at 55 miles an hour, you've moved the length of a football field while your head is down. The amount of fatalities and accidents that have happened because of smartphones is incredible. It's in the worst kind of way. And so technology has this other side, this other serpent to it, even though it's game-changing in so much of what it does. So I like to oversimplify things so that I can understand them, and I like to classify technology into one of 2 buckets. Heads down technology versus heads up technology. Now, heads down technology are things that take us away from the world, from experiencing life, from interacting with our friends and our family. You've probably all been a part or seen a scene like this on the left, where you go out to dinner with your family and friends, and pretty soon everybody's on their phone, right? You're nodding your heads because you've probably done this. I know I have. And and they might be Instagramming or Snapchatting with other real people that aren't there, but they're not living in that present moment. Now, the other side, the heads-up technology, as we've talked about, technology is incredible. This is a picture from the recent national TED event where a man named Hugh Herr from the MIT R&D department has developed bionic limbs for amputees that allow people to walk, dance, and climb mountains where they didn't have legs or arms before. They can now do so many of the things they couldn't before. This is a perfect example of heads-up technology. For me, the best example of heads-up technology is the fact that I can call my 2 kids and see them face-to-face when I'm traveling on the road. We can, sing together and read stories and say night prayers before they jump into bed. That's a perfect example of heads-up technology. So again, what does this have to do with sports or Vince Lombardi? What it has to do with, for me, is Vince Lombardi once said, the measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. In my world, where I grew up, I was always raised with the mantra of where much is given, much is required and expected. So technology has provided us a wealth of opportunities. We can do anything today, and we're seeing it by some of the speakers and talks that we've heard thus far. On the sports side, sports is also an incredible vertical, another caduceus with an incredible live atmosphere inside. Look at this picture. I mean, my favorite part is that guy who's high-fiving the guy behind him, some complete stranger that he probably does not know, right? Cheering on his team. Half of the people are in rain ponchos, and they're sitting out there in the pouring rain watching their team compete. So live sports is an incredible vertical, and because live sports is so powerful, it's the only DVR-proof content right now. And it generates billions and billions of dollars in rights fees annually because people want to consume it live, whether they're at the venue or they're watching it on TV. People don't DVR sports because you don't want to see it secondhand. And it's the only content like that. But sports also has another side to it, right? And we were going to show a video. It shows a guy who is sitting on a couch watching football. And he is into the game and his wife steps in. You may have seen this commercial and she says, honey, I think you've watched enough sports today. And he's like, you're right. He turns it off and he walks into his bedroom. He's like, I'm just going to lie down for a little bit. So then he goes to his mattress and he pulls up a Velcro piece of the mattress, lies down, puts his face in the mattress, and there's a TV at the bottom and he's watching the game. This is a perfect example of heads down technology. And sports, because it's so powerful from a content perspective and the advances of fantasy sports that make every game interesting where it didn't used to be, combined with all access and being able to view a game from anywhere, like anything else, it can be misused, misappropriated, and taken advantage of in the worst of ways. So, because I'm a big believer in lift where you stand, or we're measured by what we do with what we have, I want to apply this to my own life. So, these are my 2 handsome boys. I'm a bit biased, obviously. Thanks to some strong genetic performance by their mother, they're really cute. I grew up going to a lot of live events. I was very fortunate to have a father who also worked in sports, and we would go to games all the time. And we're watching these human performances on the court or on the field, and we're also having discussions about life on the side. And it was the most human experience that you can imagine. And I feel this responsibility to make sure that the next generation, my 2 boys, have that same thing. And so I want to make sure that technology is not something that pulls away or detracts from the experience, but augments it. And so I am spending my efforts investing, creating, helping entrepreneurs and platforms that are trying to enhance and augment the experience and let technology fade into the background. That's when you know technology is working well. if we had more time, I would go into each of these and tell you a little bit about some of the specific things we're trying to do with technology in sports to do exactly this, to augment the fan experience, so that when you're making a decision of sitting at home and watching on your HDTV on the couch or going to a live event, there will be no comparison. But that in that same vein, we will never, ever take away from the core experience, which is what's happening on the field and what's happening with the person next to you, the person behind you, and the person in front of you. Because in my mind, nothing should take away from this. This is where it's at. This is me and my two boys at a Yankee game last year. And again, I think that this is an idea we're spreading that's more powerful than sports, that all of us need to lift where we stand. Whatever vertical we're in, we should create technology and uses that are heads up and not heads down, so we can all live and experience the world in a more meaningful way. Thank you.